ahead, Renee.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're
in trouble. That was your intro.
So this is contract 102. 101, we pretty much only can get through the purchase and sale agreement, so we decided to do a 102 where we go through a lot of the contingencies and other exhibits. I'm Renee Dillon. I'm one of the owners of GAR PC, and I manage our Ashford Dunwoody location, which is just down the road. My contact information is over here. That is my email address, and then I also have our closed kw@ganicpc.com email. That one's great because it goes to my entire staff at my office. So if you need a quick answer, request a legal description, use that one because so many people are on it. You will get a very quick response. That is my cell phone number. Feel free to call or text me anytime. I'm really good with getting back texts.
And for legal descriptions?
Legal description, don't text me for that. Do close KW. Don't text me for that one. Close KW@ganicpc.com.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm Lynn LaCroix. I'm the qualifying broker for all 6 of the Rawls Group, but I'm known as your compliance broker in this office. So I'm the one that reviews your contract, is available for questions. If it's something I can't answer or it's more legal, then I'm going to refer you to Renee. We work real well together, obviously. So my cell number's there, my email. I'm real good at getting back to you. If I can't, I usually will send you a text that says it'll be 2 o'clock before I can call you back. If I can't call you back within 5 minutes. So, okay.
All right, well, we are going to start with the conventional loan exhibit. This one's probably the most often used if your buyer's getting a loan.
Yeah, that and FHA.
FHA, yeah.
Depends on the price range.
Yeah.
We'll start with conventional, but, you know, of course, the biggest thing I see is that no one completes, a lot of people don't complete 1A, which, if you see it, all loan terms must be filled in. So to do TBD or NA doesn't work.
Can't do it.
And the reason that's so important, because if your buyer were to be denied a loan, it's got to be for exactly what you stated in there, and it's kind of ambiguous if you just put TBD. Okay, so work with your lender. Know what kind of loan the buyer is applying for. Doesn't mean they can't get a different loan, but you got to start with this.
Yeah, y'all know I hate TBD and contracts. It's terrible.
It's a terrible
Don't
word.
put it in, don't accept one with it. And really, you should be in contact with the buyer's lender, well advanced before you're even taking them out to look at property. They need to know what, in terms of price range they're looking at. They should have a really good handle already on what they're going to qualify for. If not, you're really just wasting your time and potentially putting terms into the contract that they're never going to be able to achieve. And like Lynn said, they can always get a better loan than what they're putting in. This doesn't lock them in to any kind of loan or loan program. I mean, people even switch loan programs, midway through, and then just switch out which exhibit they're using. But you got to fill this in, and you got to be talking to the lender to know what they're actually going to be able to qualify for.
And if you're going to, a lot of listing agents are not going to let you get away with not putting at least one lender in number 2.
Oh, well, hold on, get back to 1 there first. So 1A, loan amount, the percent of the purchase price.
Yeah.
People screw this one up all the time.
Yeah.
So, if they're getting an 80% loan, or if they're putting down at 20%, which is most common, they're either putting down usually like 20% or 10%. Make sure you're paying 80% up here. A lot of
not
times
their down payment amount.
Yes. So make sure you're putting that in there. As far as the term goes, we are now seeing a lot more creative financing. I have to do like reverse math because I look at it on the security deed and see the date that it's due. But I have been seeing a lot of 15-year, even I think I saw like a 20-year even in the last couple of months. So again, you need to be talking to the lender to see what you need to put in there. Randy, anything to add?
Never rent the lender.
And this is Randy.
I'm late to the party, sorry.
Yes, you are.
We just started this. Any more advice on filling out 1A?
Completing 1A.
1A. No, I think I mean, it's...
But Randy, would you speak to
Self-explanatory.
the interest rate? 'Cause whether you just automatically put the rate that the lender is quoting on the pre-approval letter?
Over.
Well, most agents would put over,
Yeah.
because if you put the rate that the lender is quoting there,
It could change.
it could change.
Mhm.
Right.
And then you all of a sudden have a loophole.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you have to have, but your client has to agree, and sometimes that makes them really nervous, that they're all excited about the rate they've been quoted, so.
Yeah.
You just clarify.
Yeah, just
You
remind
say,
them.
don't be scared, when you look
Yeah.
at that, you will see a different number because of this.
Yeah,
Well,
just
you-
remind them you can always get a better loan than what you are paying.
Yeah.
Yeah, just say, look, if the rates go up between now and in a week, by the time the contract is finalized and you apply for your mortgage, then would you want to lose the house over a quarter or half a point?
Right.
If your pre-approval letter is 4.5 and they go up to 5 by next week, if something happens, would you feel bad if you lost the house? Would you pay 5% to keep the house?
I like that.
Yeah.
And
Another situation too, your products have some locking capabilities. So if you have a rate that's locked, can you put that in there?
As long as you close before the
Yeah,
lock
but you
expires.
can't lock in before you
sometimes you
have.
have-
Well, we don't
Yeah.
per se have the lock and shop type thing program right now.
Okay.
I guess you could, but I'd be a little nervous about it.
But even one question that always
I
occurred
mean,
to
if you
me.
have the property identified, you can't lock in terms anyways.
Well, there's some programs out there that some people can, but they usually are an inflated rate.
Mm.
Something occurs to me, even if it does happen that it's really if we close or whatever, but they pay a higher rate than what was on the exhibit. Nothing happens. It's only if someone wants to get out of the contract and try to
They
find
can't
out.
qualify for the higher rate.
Right.
Right, but you're trying to write a contract that
Yeah.
is
No, I know.
binding.
Yes, of course.
You don't want to have loopholes in it to let
No,
them out.
I know.
Right.
I know, but I was wondering.
That's purpose?
Who do
Purpose,
that?
go to closing.
Mhm.
Correct.
I know.
All right, so number 2,
You know, I would, most listing agents aren't gonna let you get away with leaving it blank.
you can leave it blank.
You can.
Get away with it.
Get away
you
with
can,
it,
because
great, but
then, the reason this is important is because the loan denial letter, if your buyer is denied the loan denial letter has to come from a lender that's listed in this section. So if you leave it blank, it can come from any lender.
Mhm.
If you put lenders in, they are limited to those lenders. And I've seen recently people who've changed lenders and they've actually amended this to
Yeah.
add a
And
lender
that's what you
in.
would wanna do if you change lenders and they're not listed.
so you can leave that blank then, okay.
If the
Yeah,
listing
the listing,
agent will let
a
you.
smart listing agent is probably not gonna let you do that.
Yeah. Well, you
But
try
but
it.
list more than one is what I'm saying. Kinda like-
Yeah, if I give the person 3 names, if the old 3-name thing, then I'll list all 3 of those names
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Of course, certainty would be the first one.
Of course,
in
Of
the
course,
list.
always. Always.
In big, bold, capital,
Yeah.
red letter.
But if you know, I mean, if you
Roll
know
my
from the
pants
get-go
down.
that your buyer is still shopping when you're
Yeah,
filling this
especially.
out, ask them who they're talking to and just put everyone in, because you can amend this to add a different lender, but the other side doesn't have to sign it either. I mean, a lot of times they will because they want to sell a house, but, you don't want to run into a situation where they just say no, and, then your buyer can't get qualified with whoever you put in here.
And if it's your buyer, always put our name there.
Oh.
Just in case.
Just do it.
Just in case.
Randy, can you speak to number 4? Do you get requests for that?
Do you know, we really don't get many requests, but it is in our standard disclosure package.
Okay.
So when a contract comes in, it goes to our disclosure desk, and we send out 35 pages of federal and state disclosures, and there is an intent to proceed in that package.
Gotcha.
So if anybody wants one, it's not a problem to produce
Okay.
it. But I can't remember that I've been asked for one.
Yeah, we lost some earnest money, one of our buyers lost some earnest money because of that paragraph 2 or 3, 4 years ago. That's why I asked it. It was because the seller said the buyer was in default for not.
Well, how do you define promptly, though? What's promptly?
Yeah, well, that's like reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, what's reasonable to me is
Mhm,
not,
mhm.
maybe not to you, so.
Why don't you just strike it?
I hate
We,
this sentence.
yeah, you could, if everyone will agree on it, sure.
We all agree.
I mean, the seller, yeah, you gotta have the seller on board too.
Yeah, but look at it from both sides. Why would you want it
Yeah,
struck? Stricken. Struck.
sure.
Striked.
Again, the point
Could be
is, when you're
confusing.
writing this contract, your buyer really should be locked into a lender at this point.
Does a pre-approval letter meet that? What's,
No.
What does it look like? I can't say I've ever seen one. What is that?
It
You don't have a form?
It is.
Thinking here.
I mean, it takes me a couple minutes to go get
But
one.
you have a form that is.
Yeah, I have one. I mean, the top of it says intent to proceed in
Yeah, I mean, the
big bold
title,
letters like
yeah.
this. And it's like, it just says the buyer, is hereby, agrees with the terms and is intending to proceed with the loan application. But it's very simple. It's not, I mean, there's nowhere near that many words on it. No, it isn't. It's just like intent to proceed, boom, sign, that's done.
All right. That's
All right,
Mhm.
paragraph 5.
Yeah. Buyer shall have blank days from binding agreement date. If you work with your lender, with your buyer's lender, know how long it's gonna take. You know, don't put 7 days, which I've seen lately. And 7 might work if they're already through the process, but that doesn't happen a lot, unfortunately.
What do you say? What do you say to put in there?
You know what? Times are a-changing,
Yeah.
okay?
You get them done quicker.
And with the technology and everything that's going on,
If you have a cooperating buyer.
if you have a cooperative borrower,
So that's something that I've always said when we taught these classes, is that I feel like that number is more dependent on the buyer than even the lender sometimes. If your buyer can't get anything to the lender, it's gonna take them longer to process and get approved. If your buyer has already, sent Randy everything, before they even get in the car with you to go look at a house,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a faster process,
we,
right?
well, yeah, and
Yeah.
with the systems that are in place now, we can physically do an underwriting approval of a loan without a property address. So now you have a buyer that is already fully approved.
Just
You're in a
waiting for
competitive
property.
situation,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can doggone near strike it.
Yeah.
I mean, or put something ridiculously low in there.
Well, I've seen 0, and they're
Right.
just counting on the appraisal
Right.
paragraph.
Right, well, I've even done 1-0 on both,
Both.
and we do it during due diligence.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah,
the
if you-
appraisal and the finance during a 14-day or a 10-day due diligence, and there is no finance
Right.
contingency.
It just depends on what the house, if there's multiple offers on it.
Mhm.
And where your borrower is in the
In the
process.
process,
Again, some of y'all send borrowers that, they... No, I was gonna compliment you. Some of y'all send borrowers, and, that's why I was on the phone just now. It's an agent in here sent the borrower, and they've already uploaded, because we've got a portal now,
Yep.
they've already uploaded their pay stubs and their bank statements and everything else. I know, I've already seen it, it's right there.
Mhm.
So somebody like that,
Yep.
shoot, you almost don't need a finance contingency.
But so 14 to 21 is still pretty common though in that line?
Yeah.
around-
21 gets
Still
changed to 18 a lot.
I teach, you don't pick the number, your lender gives you the number.
Yeah.
So don't assume anything,
Yeah.
gotta talk to the lender.
And here's why the number is important. It's because if your buyer is getting denied the loan, it has to be within the
That
time
time.
period that
Mhm.
you've put into this paragraph.
Mhm.
So,
And it can't be because the loan's not ready, or the
Mhm.
lender can't give approval yet.
or that the buyer
Right.
hasn't sent enough
But
information,
does this-
documentation.
Does
to
this
the
still
lender.
say it can't be because of lack of funds
Yep.
Yep.
in there
Can't
someplace?
be because of
It's
lack
on
of
the next
funds.
page, top of
Okay.
the next page.
Yeah, next page. Go to number 6.
So do you suggest to go ahead and get our buyers already pre-approved everything?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm a little biased in that department.
You want to get your buyer pre-approved better than pre-approved, I guess.
No, better than pre-qualified,
Pre- okay.
pre-approved. Yes, pre-approved.
But,
And there's a lot of terms that lenders throw around, and it doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean the same thing from lender to
It
lender,
doesn't.
what
True.
pre-qualified or pre-approved or even approved or talk to the lender and try to get a handle on where they are in the process, no matter what words or terms they're throwing at you.
Yeah, because there's a lender that you might talk to a lender and you say, my buyer, he might say, yeah, I pre-approved the buyer. He told me he made $100,000 a year, so that's what I pre-approved him on.
Right.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, that ain't worth nothing. Okay.
Right.
Because you can tell me anything. The proof's in the pudding, and I want to see the pay stubs, and I want to see the W-2s, and I want to see tax returns if I have to. If they're self-employed. That's what I consider pre-approved, and that's what, generally in the business, that's what most people consider pre-approved. But shoot, I've seen some people that have a website, you go and print your own pre-approval letter, they don't even pull your credit.
Right.
So, if you're functioning as a listing agent, and you get something like that coming in, I mean...
Be suspect.
Yeah. And buyers are really shady about their finances a lot of times. I mean, they have no problem, over-underestimating their income. It amazes me how many people
I have to pay alimony or child.
Alimony or child support is always a big one.
The Mercedes car payment.
Student loans.
But yeah, student loans, a big one. A lot of people have no handle on what their credit score is and are shocked to find out, that they are in the 600s,
Y'all know how to find somebody's credit score, right? You look on freecreditreport.com or one of those. And it's the same as looking on Zillow to find out what your house is valued. Okay, because those credit scores don't mean squat. I know this isn't my class, I'm sorry.
No.
But there's 5 algorithms for determining your credit score. There's a personal credit score, which is way over here. That's what you get from your freecreditreport.com, Credit Karma, things like that, where it magically appears on your MasterCard statement. Okay? And then there's the mortgage score, which is way on this end, because we're more critical of things. And then in between, there's car buying, there's credit cards, and there's employment. Which are all in between. So, just because somebody's got a 600 Credit Karma, I may pull it and they might have a 540. Okay? It doesn't necessarily line up. So, these people, and we talk to them every day, we got the pitch down, they already say, I don't want you to pull my credit because I already know my score. Like, okay, but no you don't. So we have that conversation daily, and you should be able to have that conversation with your clients too. Because any 1 or 2 or 3 points that my pull costs them, I can more than give them an advice on how to get their score up.
And there is a lot that you can do to get your credit score. I mean, I know this isn't really a class about that, but, the whole point is make sure that your buyer is really talking to the lender before you're filling these forms out. All right, so in number 6, this does give the reasons that they can be denied, and I think we kind of it cannot be denied if they lack sufficient funds,
Like their down payment.
if they haven't leased or sold property that is not set out in a specific contingency, let's put it in.
And buyer not being cooperative and giving the lender what they've asked for.
Right.
Mhm.
And this is the new one they added in, right? Making purchases that adversely affect buyer's debt to income ratio.
If they, go ahead.
Matt had a deal 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dude bought a Lamborghini like a week before closing.
Yeah. Does it affect the credit score?
I wasn't worried about his credit score.
It's the debt ratio.
His debt ratio went
Debt
down.
ratio, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, you need to counsel buyers, don't go out and buy furniture for the new house a week before closing, or even a month before.
And you know what a common mistake is? The lender will tell you, your loan's clear to close.
Yeah.
We'll tell you that 2 weeks before you're ready to close. Your loan's clear to close. So she's thinking, cool. I'm going to Rooms to Go tomorrow.
They can't do anything until they've left our office.
The lender monitors your credit. I don't care which lender it is. We monitor your credit up until closing. We get pinged Okay, once we go in and we got your loan in the system, we get pinged from the credit bureau if there's any activity on your credit.
Well, if a buyer does
told me
it,
to
and
call her
then,
if I wasn't sure about anything I bought.
if they were clear to close and they do something stilted or, pardon my French, whatever.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with that. How do we, like, what's happening to them? Like, because if they can't get the loan funded, what's the
They're gonna
penalty?
lose their
They're
earnings.
gonna lose their house. So
Yeah.
earnings is the only, like, they're not in default as far as like,
They're in default of the contract.
But
And,
the contract says the seller can't sue the buyer.
okay, that's what I was getting at. Okay.
yeah.
But the broker can still sue for commission,
Ooh.
we don't see often.
But normal, I mean, we've had people, lots of incidences where people have gone to Rooms to Go, bought a whole house full of furniture,
Yeah.
and we just have to make them take it back and cancel the contract and loop it back through underwriting, and we'll get them closed.
And tell them they can go buy the furniture next
In this
week.
case, the
Yeah,
Lamborghini, the Lamborghini went back to the dealer.
Did it really?
It should.
All right, Stephanie, Suzanne, her hand up.
Okay, sorry. I just want to ruin Randy's life real quick for about 2 minutes. So you remember the transaction I had like last year with the couple that had the buy here, pay here car?
Yeah, okay.
So if they had gotten, well, okay, so this backstory, I had a couple that had already been pre-approved for their loan. We got to like literally a week or two before it closed, and the lender, they had submitted all the paperwork they were supposed to submit, had just started reviewing and underwriting, and noted that there was this weird debit coming out of the account every month that they couldn't trace where it was coming from. So long story short, we find out it was buy here, pay here. And at first they were like acting like they couldn't close the loan. Randy is awesome because he worked with me to find a solution. He totally should have got that deal, but I couldn't get my buyer over there. But I wanted to ask, in this particular case, if they had gotten denied, that doesn't fall up under any of those things, right?
Oh.
I
The lender missed it.
Correct.
I don't know. That's your...
I mean, it would kind of go under the lack of sufficient funds, I would think, but if,
They had the funds.
It wouldn't be the
Wasn't
funds.
an issue with funds.
well,
I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'd throw that back to legal.
I mean, that loan denial letter has specific boxes.
The lender missed it, and it would be a
Yeah.
loan denial based on debt to income, but it came way after the finance contingency was
Yeah,
up.
well, and
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that,
no matter what it is, it's gotta be during the financing.
yeah, so, I mean, in that case,
The lender cost them their earnest
the
money.
lender costs them their earnest money. And I mean, we've seen in different circumstances, I mean, we've seen where they have gone after the loan officer or mortgage broker and tried to get the earnest money back from them when the lenders are
I just was curious because literally Randy saved that deal for this particular lender. Like, they were ready to just, and it was totally on them because they missed it.
Yeah, and it happens. I
Yeah.
mean, they missed stuff, and it's after the financing contingency, and
I don't remember how I saved the deal, but tell me later. I don't know.
You gave me a great creative solution.
Okay. I do like to think outside the box. I color outside the lines occasionally.
Additionally.
Yeah.
all right.
I have a question for
Next,
you.
okay.
It's, like some of the lenders do tell me that, to tell my buyer that they do monitor their credit 30 days after the closing, and if something really weird happens, they have the right to call the loan. Is that true, or is that just,
Not that I'm aware of.
So, after the closing, you're free?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been telling my clients that do not buy anything until 31 days after your closing.
I've never heard that.
I
What are
have.
they gonna do, foreclose on the house? How
I
that?
tell my people they can walk out of the closing and go buy something.
Right.
I'm sure that guy's got his Lamborghini back by now.
Right.
So,
Okay, that's good to know because I've been telling, mine is like stop living until on the 31st day after your closing, you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
yeah, that might be somebody that's holding the loan, maybe a portfolio type loan or something.
No, it was just a regular conventional loan.
Because
And they
once
said,
the loan closes, for us, that loan package is done.
Done?
It's done, it's locked down. Because it's a snapshot in time.
Okay.
Okay, and at closing, this is the way things are now.
Good.
You could lose your job tomorrow,
And then still
other
be
things
fine.
it would still be okay.
That's good. Yeah.
All right, paragraph 7. Seller can ask the buyer to submit evidence that they are able to close the loan. It's
Not a guarantee.
not a guarantee that it will close, but they can ask for it. Do you get asked for that very often?
You know, very rarely, but I'm glad I'm sitting here and talking to you guys. What do y'all want when we see that? Because
It's basically got to be a conditional approval. Because it's always conditional, isn't
Yeah.
it?
right, but as a lender, I don't want to send you my conditional approval.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's
y'all don't understand most
No.
people don't understand
No.
what a conditional approval looks like. There
Yeah.
could be 40 conditions on
Right.
there.
Exactly.
38 of them don't mean anything.
Right,
But they're standard conditions that go on every single loan approval.
yeah.
So if I just copied that conditional loan approval and send it to you, you would freak
Freak out.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, anybody would.
yeah.
So what
But
I normally do is send an email, or if they push it a little harder, I'll dummy up a
Yeah.
letter and send it to them.
I have not heard, and of course, you guys hear more than I do on this, but I've not had a lot of sellers make a big deal about this. You just need to be aware that they have the right.
Mhm.
We get a couple a year.
Do you?
Yeah, we get a couple a year.
So if I'm the buyer
Mhm.
and you're the seller, and you say, hey, I want to see this,
Mhm.
and I say no, then I lose my earnest money?
Mhm.
So why would any educated buyer not strike that?
Well, we don't want to get in the habit of striking these contracts. There's been hundreds of thousands of dollars spent writing these to supply to you.
But I'm the buyer,
I know.
I don't care.
Yeah, but I don't know of a seller that, again, if everybody agrees, but Renee.
I mean, if you send that over with this
strike
stricken,
out, they're gonna go, why?
It's gonna raise
well,
a
no,
it's gonna raise a flag.
It's gonna raise a flag.
Okay.
Well, where does
yeah,
it
And if
say-
I,
We
you know,
don't
if I
mess
was,
with the GAR forms.
if I was a
Try not
listing
to
agent,
strike
I wouldn't
it.
I
Like that.
wouldn't accept it.
Well, where
Because
does
this
number
is-
8 doesn't say you lose your earnest money, though. It doesn't say what the penalty is for not timely providing
Yeah,
it.
I know, but the buyer's in
The
default,
buyer's in default, the
and
buyer
that means
loses
they
their.
lose their, when you call someone in default, that's the penalty.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, this is an important paragraph, because there's only 2 places really in the contract that allows the seller
To
to
terminate.
terminate, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, to your point, if I'm a listing agent, I'm not accepting this exhibit with that stricken out.
So why would a seller ask for that? Just out of curiosity. I mean, to me, it's just, it's
So here's,
just, they're just trying to get out of the deal
here's why they put it in.
for whatever
is
reason, right?
This is really for those contracts where, and we don't see them all that often. Sometimes we do though in the summertime where you go under contract and you're not closing for 2 months.
Mhm.
It's a long close period. So the seller does not want to keep property off the market for that length of time. Not without some assurance that the buyer can actually purchase the property. So
Right.
that's really when this comes into play, because if you notice, all the dates on here, buyer shall have
Are
7 days from
after
the
the
date.
financing.
It's after financing, and it has to be 7 days from the day of closing. So it's really to protect those sellers that are getting into these really lengthy contract time periods. Yeah.
Because I had to go through that with my home because I used the neighborhood list program and it required 60-day closing.
Mhm.
So I had to, my lender actually just wrote a letter to the
Yeah, it
listing
does.
agent saying, hey, she does have the funds.
Right.
This is just a stipulation that's in the program.
Yeah.
So.
The lender's not guaranteeing, they're just saying that
Yeah, they're just saying that
based
she, based off
Yeah.
of her income, I they're
Exactly.
really, they know that I'm gonna close on the house.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that difficult, it was just a quick email and then they were
Yeah.
good.
It's
Yeah.
just to make the seller more comfortable
Yeah.
really in long contract situations. All right.
All right,
Can I just
really,
skip to appraisal?
appraisal,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, the time period, again, talk to your lender, find out what's a reasonable time period for
Mhm.
getting the appraisal done. We're seeing stuff, 14 days again? Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the spring, it'll be longer
It's
than
gonna
that.
be
Yeah,
on
that's
time
right
of
now,
year,
it's
that's
Christmas.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, January, February, you know,
So
you
then-
might be able to get away with when? I feel like you're wanting to.
21 days.
What I normally see there is 21 days.
Yeah.
But the reason I normally see 21 days there is because people don't want me to order the appraisal until
they get through due
due diligence is over, okay?
Yeah.
Because the appraisals aren't free.
Right,
The buyer's paying for their appraisal up front.
yeah.
In most cases. Some
Yeah.
lenders will let it ride, but I think they're stupid for doing that.
If you had a
But-
21-day financing contingency, wouldn't you want to back up the appraisal contingency a couple of days just to give underwriters a chance to review it?
No, not really. Appraisals come in, our appraisals come in with a score. They come in with a score.
So you know.
There's a score from 1 to 5.
Okay.
And if it comes in with a 1, 2, or 3, it's like the underwriter looks at it and passes it on. If it comes in with a 4 or 5, it gets looked at. If it comes in with a 5, we may have to do a desk review or something, okay? But 99 times out of 100, the appraisers are good enough out there that it doesn't, they're really not going to knock down the value. More often than not, somebody's trying to raise the value,
Right.
not knock it down. I have had one where the buyer wanted to, and the agent, like, we didn't expect it to come in that high. We want to appeal this, and I'm like,
Why?
you got $20,000 built-in equity. What? Oh no, we want it to go lower so we can negotiate the price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, sorry.
But that's not the norm.
No.
No, but it's happened more than once
Yeah.
in competitive situations where aggressive agents are bidding higher, thinking, I'll take care of it later when the appraisal comes in, and then they don't.
Yeah.
So
That's why I would love to see just a consistency, not a 14-7, 14-21, everything 21. But I know that from the other standpoint that most people want things to be moved on a little quicker.
again, we're not quite in the market that we were as far as the inventory shortage.
Yeah.
We might get there again.
Yeah.
But I did deals where we had
Consistent.
no appraisal contingency, and we had no finance contingency, and we were doing 14-day due diligence. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and appraisal takes 7 days. Normal, most lenders, appraisal takes 7 days. You can pay a little extra, get a rush on it sometimes. Mostly they take 7 days. The exception is VA.
Yeah.
VA appraisers
Go at your own pace.
think they rule the world and make the rules, so VA appraisers have 14 days
Yeah.
by law. Okay?
Well, but with VA and FHA, there is no time frame for the appraisal to be done.
True.
Or the-
Right up until closing, baby. Right up until
Right up
closing.
until closing.
Most people don't know that, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Most people don't know
We're gonna talk
that.
about that, 'cause
And a lot of times then you're more apt to, if you have multiple buyers on a property, to say,
well, you can write a special step that says that FHA or VA appraisal will be done in 14 days.
Yeah.
If it were to come in after,
Yeah.
you'd lose.
And then I'd like the tightening up, which is done, on saying, you got money at risk. You gotta put some money at risk. If you're not serious about this and
Yeah.
looking at ways out, hey, I'm moving on with buyer two on this whole thing. So, I mean, the nickel and dime, and unless people are getting to a point where we're requiring 2% down
Yeah.
the cost,
Gotta
I think it's
yeah.
fair. I think it's moving in a fair direction.
I've seen counteroffers, and I've worked with agents on counteroffers on that problem by saying the appraisal must be ordered by.
Yeah,
That's good.
right, you can say must be ordered,
Right,
you just can't say it'll be done.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because that goes against the rules of FHA and VA. But you can say it must be ordered by.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then be sure, first off, there is a difference between paragraph 5, your financing contingency, and paragraph 11, your appraisal contingency. I have lots of agents who think they go together, or if it doesn't appraise, say your appraisal contingency ended, but you still are in your financing contingency. and it doesn't appraise, and they try to use that as an out. Doesn't work. There's two different contingencies. One for appraisal, one for getting the loan.
And I think in a multiple offer situation is where we saw that a lot, because they're giving themselves the leeway of not getting approved for the loan, but because of everything that you just kind of said, they're putting in the shorter appraisal contingency as a way to make their offer more attractive.
So in the scenario where, I'm assuming this was in the recent past, correct? This was happening?
Yeah.
Which means that you would strike the paragraph.
No.
So what would you do?
Put zero if you want to strike, if you don't want an appraisal contingency.
You don't want to
Put zero.
Put 0 days.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you Striker.
I watch you.
Well, a lot of people being reluctant to deal with them.
Yeah,
You know,
and
that's what your risk is.
Yeah, a good listing agent is not gonna let you start changing the GAR contract.
Do you do the commercial contracts
Nope.
also? Okay.
Nope. Don't want to. Never have, never will. My husband's a commercial broker. I would never let him sell a house.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
fill out a residential contract any
Commercial
more than
people
I'll
are
do
strikers.
commercial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
residential, it just doesn't fly.
You talk to Charlie.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right, but pay attention to the second paragraph. If the appraisal were to come in low, there's a procedure that you've got to follow. The buyer can't just say, well, it didn't appraise, so I want to terminate. Doesn't work that way with this loan, with conventional. You've got to go through that process. Submit the amendment, submit the appraisal.
And do it all within the time period specified in the exhibit.
Right. Okay. Oh, yes.
Can we go back up 1 second on the denial? I was just curious. When does that denial letter have to?
7 days, paragraph
Right.
5, the last sentence, Diane.
Right, I wanted to point that out because I've had frantic phone calls
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock at night saying I need this denial
And
letter.
thankfully, we changed that 2 years ago now.
Right, so I
You
wanted
have
to
to
point.
send in your termination and note that it's because of the financing contingency, and then you have 7 days to actually
Get
get
the letter.
the denial letter.
Right, because the denial letter, at least with our company, has to come from the underwriter, and I can't get that at 10 o'clock at
Right.
night.
And a denial letter can't be an email from Randy saying, sorry, they're
Right.
not approved for the loan. It has to be.
An official.
That is a good point, because that comes up a lot. If you email at the, 10 o'clock at night at the last day of the financing, that's, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. The email is not sufficient. An email denying it is not sufficient. You have to come up with a loan denial letter. So don't, I feel like it comes up when buyers don't get qualified for the loan they like, and they think they're gonna find a way to get out because of the financing contingency. Just be careful in that instance, and be careful when you're a listing agent as to what you're getting back in terms of a loan denial letter. The email is not sufficient. It's a standard form document where they're just literally checking boxes off of, and putting in the loan amount, interest rate, and everything that's been applied for.
Which has to match what you put in.
Has to match. Look at those numbers too, because a lot of times we'll see that they'll put in
The loan amount.
Yeah, the loan amount isn't right, because they just put it up here. They don't put in a loan amount for a number. They're just putting in the percentage of the purchase price. But the denial letter comes over with an actual number amount. So do the math. Make sure that what has been denied is what the loan amount. So we've seen denial letters come over where they put in 80% and they got denied for an 85%
or 82%.
or 82%. So it didn't match up with what they put into the contingency. And the seller almost didn't catch it, and in that case, and then they did, so the seller got the earnest money.
Right, because they didn't apply for the loan that they said they were gonna apply for.
They got denied for a better or a more advantageous
Right,
loan,
and
and that doesn't.
And I just wanted to point that out because we do get asked to produce something like that, and you do have some time. Now, the other thing, if I could bring up, did I already miss the part about due diligence, canceling during due diligence?
We didn't do the purchase and sale today.
Extending, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So we're just doing exhibits, but
Okay.
Go ahead, I mean, due diligence.
Well, a strategy that a lot of agents use, like when you're in due diligence and you're trying to negotiate something, whatever that might be, or even the appraisal contingency, if the appraisal comes in a couple $1,000s low, and you guys are at a bypass, some of the better agents that I work with submit to the listing agent 2 forms. One amendment saying agreeing to lower the purchase price or give me some extra time, and 2, a TNR.
Which is?
Termination, relief, earnestness.
You know, you've got until 11 o'clock, sign one of them. And it's a very effective strategy. Because it lets them know, hey, we're serious, you know, can't work with us, we're walking away. But it kind of doesn't apply here, but it kind of does sometimes.
Well, there's also, if you're doing an amendment to address concerns, you can actually, there's a special step that says if the seller doesn't sign this and agree to it prior to the end of due diligence, this is our determination. We hereby.
Oh, is there? I didn't know
There's an
that.
actual special step for that.
Okay, yeah, what I've seen is just 2 forms going out.
That worked, never mind. Go ahead.
Well, wait, before we move on, so if somebody gets like, puts in numbers in this form and then, you know, ends up qualifying with another lender with a different kind of qualification, how do we go about changing that here?
You would have to do an amendment.
Okay.
To add that lender.
And if they're
those new.
getting a loan
they're
and
already
they qualify for it, I mean, you really don't have to do anything.
Right.
Make sure they're good
It's
for it.
only if you're at
Right.
risk.
It's only going to come into play if the loan doesn't close.
Right.
Make sure they're good for
Okay.
it.
Right.
But where I've seen people run into trouble is when we can't get them a conventional loan, we got to flip it to FHA.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now you've got an amendment going back, hey, we're switching this from a conventional to an FHA, and the listing agent's going, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, we didn't agree to that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, the new paragraph, the talk of the town.
Oh.
Paragraph 12. This is new as of January. And I believe it came up because there were some appraisers who were doing the appraisal and then saying, and by the way, these lender required repairs we want done. That's where it came up, apparently. That's why they put it in there.
I thought that was already in the FHA.
It's in FHA and GA.
Yeah.
It's never been in conventional.
Right.
Until January. Now, do not leave it blank. Please, do not put NA. Put something. But you could put seller and 0 or buyer and $500. And then there are some people that do a special step that strike that one. You'll like that. There will, I'm sure in the next couple of months, there'll be some clarification on this paragraph. But for the time being, I'm asking you not to leave it blank and not to put
something in. I mean, people don't like it because you can terminate.
Gives either party the right to terminate.
Either party can terminate, which is a big change from the previous contract.
Yeah.
But you, instead of striking it, you can just take care of it by putting in, you know, I mean, buyer, just by filling it out in a smart manner.
So put in something reasonable, $500, something that's not going to break
And
anybody's
I'm seeing a
bank.
lot of them be accepted. Seller, $2,000.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think there's been, and I haven't heard of any issues with repairs coming in that are lender-required repairs on conventional loans since we started this paragraph, but.
I haven't heard either. And I mean, and generally, they're gonna be like a health and
Minor
safety required,
stuff,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, I mean, Randy, you can tell it, I mean, it doesn't come up that often on a conventional that the appraiser's calling for specific repairs unless it's a major
Not on
health,
conventional.
unless it's a major health or safety issue, right?
Well, structural or safety. That's
Right.
that's what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, I have had conventional appraisers say, please have a roof inspector come out.
Right.
You know, that the roof looks suspect. Or, you know, a lot of people think that conventional appraisers don't care about anything. I mean, that's not true. I mean, if you've got,
They're giving
if
the
you,
value to it.
if you've got, you know, a wall that it's rotting out with wood rot, it's not gonna pass a conventional appraisal. So don't just think, well, we can't go FHA, but we can go conventional on it. No, that's not true. I mean, it's still gotta pass certain standards.
Right.
So I put in purchase price and the number amount on my list.
No.
I can't do that?
No.
Okay, that's what I
No,
was
that has
thinking.
nothing to do with the purchase price. In FHA,
You can. So
that's
I was
the
curious if you
appraisal.
could do the same
For the
thing.
appraisal only, the only time you would do that.
Okay.
Having just worked with some agents struggling with this, I think that one tricky area is if the property is being sold as is. You know, seller is not gonna make any repairs, and buyer, you know, agrees to that.
Yeah.
Then if the lender has a repair, what do you?
Then you could say buyer.
You put buyer.
You can put buyer
You can
in.
put- There's nothing that says this is a seller requirement. It's the buyer getting the loan.
Right, you can put
Right.
in buyer and $500,
Yeah.
if the lender comes back with $1,000 in repairs,
Right.
then, you know, they have the
Seller, buyer, has
option,
the option.
they have the option to terminate.
They can't reach an agreement.
I mean, it's,
$500 should not prevent
Yeah.
a buyer from buying a house.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the same.
I mean, and honestly, like, that's kind of the exact case that this paragraph is intended to
Mhm.
help buyers and sellers out with.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Because we do, I mean, we do see a lot of that.
Yeah. And then before this paragraph, if the repairs came up and it was after due diligence and after financing, then who's right, who gets the earnest money back?
Yeah.
If the lender says, well, we're not gonna do the loan because it needs repairs.
I mean, I don't hate this paragraph. I
No,
think
it's
maybe they need to tweak it to make it
And
a
I
little
think
more
they will.
user-friendly, but, I mean, I think it does protect the parties in a lot of situations that
Well,
they
because
could
it
just have
adds
options.
specificity, right?
Now, if this contract got terminated, does the buyer get their earnest money back
If they can't agree on
on the excess?
on the excess.
So, there is somebody online that just asked a question. If you put seller, and you put a certain amount, can the seller write a check directly to the person for those repairs, or is it gonna be towards, closing costs? How is that handled?
The repairs have to be done.
Before, yeah, the lender will need to
Because
prove
these
that
are
the repairs are
lender-required
done.
repairs.
So,
Because they're paying,
actually, neither one of those choices.
Right.
yeah, seller's paying out of pocket to get, if you put in seller's gonna pay out of pocket before closing to get the repairs taken care of.
Right.
So, you know, if you are a listing agent representing the seller and it comes over with seller $1,000 and your seller doesn't have $1,000, you know, you're gonna have to change that.
Okay.
Well, we just spent a lot of time on
We
that.
spent a whole time on that one.
Sorry.
Sorry, no,
No,
you
it's
need
good,
to.
it's good.
Because that's the one that is most commonly used.
Yeah.
The FHA is probably the second one.
And the
it's
good news is,
exactly,
yeah.
it's exactly the same until you get to paragraph 11. Paragraph 11, everything's the same as we just went over.
Mm-hmm.
Paragraph 11, and here it's called the amendatory clause, and I get that all the time. People not realizing that word means appraisal. Or that's the intent. But here, there's no time frame. You'll notice there's no number, blank number of days from binding agreement days this will be done. There is a place, though, to put the value, and
Purchase price.
I like the word
Mhm.
purchase price. The reason being is you may make an offer for $200,000,
Mhm.
put $200,000 in that blank. Seller counters at $205,000.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they'll forget to change that paragraph.
Diane and I can mix that, we can just type in purchase price.
Well, I don't
Make it
know if all
required.
agents agree with me. I just think it's been the best way to do it.
Right.
I'm not gonna dictate it by any means.
Oh, come on.
Making a suggestion. And it's not a problem as long as the property's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it does give your buyer the option. If the house is not appraised for the purchase price or whatever you put in there, the buyer can terminate the contract.
Yeah, they don't have to ask
They
the
don't
seller
have to ask the seller
to reduce it. They can, but they don't have to. Some buyers say, well, it didn't appraise, I don't want this house. I don't want it even if he reduces it. So they walk away and they can't, with no penalty or loss of earnings.
That is a huge difference from the conventional.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't fully understand it. So keep in mind, on the other side of the transaction, the agent that you're working with may not fully understand how this works either.
Yeah. But in essence of it, you put purchase price and it comes in under purchase price, the buyer has the option to pay the purchase price for the property.
No, the buyer has the option to terminate.
But what if they want the house? And it came down lower?
You'd have to do an amendment, I would think, for the lender.
We talking about an FHA?
Yeah, FHA, the price is a certain amount, it comes in
We
lower.
agree, we're gonna buy the house for 200, the appraisal comes in at 195? Okay, so you got two choices. If the seller's not gonna lower the price to 195, you got three choices. You can walk away, get your earnest money back, or the buyer can pay the extra $5,000 out of pocket.
As long as they still qualify.
Right. They can pay the extra $5,000 out of pocket. We will make them sign a piece of paper that says, hey, I understand I'm paying more than what it appraised for, so that we're not held liable. But yeah, they can do that.
So, if in that case, like, if I'm dealing in a situation like that right now, on a listing, so the buyers paid $3,000 above appraisal, and I'm working with buyer's agent to try to meet them halfway, lower the price, and so do I need to make them sign ASAP so we're locked in? Do they still have the right to walk away?
If it's FHA, they do, because there's no time frame. It's up until the day of closing, basically.
So, yeah, lock into an agreement, go ahead and get it in writing.
Yeah.
But if you put an amendment to address the, lower your selling price by half of the money, and then you strike that after you sign this amendment, all the contingency will cease, then you're okay with that, right? Then the buyer cannot cancel it, even though, up to closing.
I don't know that that's true, because this is an FHA
Yeah,
rule and not
FHA is a little different.
It's not an FHA, it's not a Georgia law rule or contract rule, it's an FHA requirement, so.
We've had that where everyone agreed to reduce the price, and then the buyer, a week before closing, said, no, I decided I don't want the property, since it didn't appraise, even though you've agreed to lower it. And they've stuck to that paragraph and they won.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can agree to do it, but the fact of the matter is, by federal law, the buyer has until basically the day of closing to get out if it doesn't appraise.
Let me get that amendment sent out.
Mortgage insurance premium, FHA, 1.75.
Randy?
That's 1.75.
I'm still thinking about the last one.
Yeah.
They lowered the purchase price. It came in at 195. We're paying 200. They lowered the purchase price to 195, and they still got out of the deal because they're not paying 200 anymore. They're paying 195.
I know.
That's good.
Well, no, this. I have to think back. What happened?
Something didn't sound right there, and I'm sorry.
No, it was something else. So
I was trailing behind there a little bit.
There was more to it. I think what happened is it came in at. They all agreed at 195, and the buyer was going to pay some difference, and it only appraised for 193, something like that. There was a reason, in just like 3 years.
Because if you lower you're basically writing
I guess
a new contract that says 195.
If you put purchase price in here, and I'm just thinking if I was arguing for the seller here, or for the buyer. If you put purchase price in here, then I think, yes, that would be the case, because whatever you reduce the purchase price to, then FHA should go by that. But if you put 200 in there.
Yeah, and then you have an amendment to lower it.
I would argue that if you lower it, they'd still, by FHA,
they go back here.
That.
Yeah. I knew there was more.
And we haven't signed one of those, you haven't signed one of these at closing too, lenders.
If the lender sends over, and it has a
Yeah.
number in there,
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Because that's one of the things we get hung up with,
Yeah.
sometimes is because the FHA amendatory clause has to be signed by the
Right.
buyer, the seller, the listing agent, the selling agent.
yeah.
And sometimes if those agents don't show up for closing, there's another form that has to be signed.
It's FHA form. Get you every time.
FHA closings, you should make sure that
Everyone has to
you're-
be there.
you make sure that everybody's going to be there.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of times y'all ask if a seller can come in and sign early on a closing, and generally we're fine with that. FHA is one of the tricky times, or FHA loans are one of the things that can sometimes make us say no on that, because if we don't have the loan package from the lender, we don't have these forms. We have some of them that we can print off ourselves, but a lot of times the lender wants their package with their barcode on it signed, so just keep that in mind, that there are a lot of documents the seller has to sign in an FHA loan package. If they're not going to be there, they need to be available. If we've done mail-aways, we'll actually have to email them the documents as soon as we get it in. They have to email it back to us. Got to get everyone's signatures on that. Yep.
And figure on the mortgage at your premium.
1.75.
1.75.
And, I mean.
That didn't change this year.
Yeah, okay. And most people just put check B. It doesn't matter as far as anything. It's more of a lender thing. If the buyer decides at the last minute he wants to pay it in full at closing, if he still qualifies, he can. But most people finance it in, I think.
And it's all or nothing too, by the way.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You can't do, I'll pay one and
Yeah.
finance the .75. You can't do that.
It's either in full at closing or
Right.
added to the loan amount. Okay.
But it is something that the seller can pay too.
Yeah, that's right, you're right.
By the way, since you're on FHA,
Yeah. Where do you want to go?
do you know how much closing costs the seller can pay?
6%.
6% of
Loan
And the
amount.
purchase
Of
price.
the,
Loan amount.
purchase price.
Is it purchase price?
Yeah.
6% of the purchase price
Wow.
on an FHA. So there could be some room in there to pay that upfront, MIP.
Is there anything else that particularly trips me on that?
No.
I feel like no.
No, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Make sure you're checking all the boxes,
Yeah.
filling everything in on these.
Yeah, don't leave blank, please. And just go to VA real quick, just so they can see the appraisal. Again, the financing forms are exactly the same until you get to paragraph 11. And then after that, there's a couple different things, but
it falls apart.
number 11, again, this is your mandatory clause, that's your appraisal.
But you don't even fill in.
This one you don't
Yeah,
even
you don't
fill
have to put
anything in.
anything, it's just there. They're gonna protect the veteran, they're not gonna let him buy a house. That's too much, but it means, I mean, if he has the money, he can. But he doesn't have to.
You're saying that the veteran then can pay that out of his own pocket versus taking it
Right there.
out of VA.
If buyer elects to complete the purchase at an amount in excess of the reasonable value established by VA, buyer shall pay excess amount in cash from a source which buyer agrees to disclose to VA, in which buyer represents will not be borrowed funds except as approved by VA.
Like, what if it's a gift?
Gift is fine.
It's fine.
Okay.
It means, when it says borrow, it means we can't finance it.
Right.
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 Can't go out and take it off your credit card.
Gotcha.
They've seen it all, they've seen it all.
That's unsecured funds.
Yeah.
We don't do unsecured funds on any loan.
Yeah.
Now, do this one, does they have to provide a gift letter?
Sure.
Anytime.
Any loan has,
Yeah.
anytime there's a gift, there's a gift letter. And the tracking, though, varies from program to program.
Yeah.
That's different story.
Hmm.
See me later.
All right. Paragraph 13 is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these are VA required repairs. This is not your home inspector during your due diligence repairs. This is strictly what the lender and VA.
And again, that's usually structure and safety, right?
But VA's a little pickier.
They are. If they see like a cracked window, I've seen them want it replaced.
Yeah, I had to replace a cloudy window, but that was safety because you couldn't see out.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Mhm.
they hung their hat on that.
What about an uneven walkway?
Potentially.
Depends on the appraiser, probably.
Depends on what kind of day the appraiser's having.
Yeah.
Whether he tripped on it or not.
Yeah.
Depends on the price of the house, I think, and it also depends on what you can visibly see. Like you see rotten wood and things like that, they're probably gonna catch that. They don't like, wood to earth either, do they?
Nope, no. They sure don't. I've been out there with a shovel, digging dirt away from the siding when I was a realtor.
And VA is the only one that requires a termite letter. Now we're talking about with the earth contract. VA is the only one that requires the termite letter. That's whether you put it into the contract or not, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to get a termite inspection done.
And also, is that septic tank and wells and?
Oh, Lord, you're gonna ask me about that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, go over that.
I know it's in FHA.
And that paragraph 16 coming up always gets me about
Yeah.
the
Oh,
sewer
yeah,
and
I know.
septic, yeah.
About public water and sewer.
Yeah, so you're asking me about the hookup or the inspection?
He's asking.
Let's don't ask about it.
Okay.
No, I mean, it rarely comes up. Most of the homes around here are on public systems.
Well, what does that mean, the local authority requires it? What does that mean?
If there's a hookup fee to get the septic.
Get them off,
To
septic,
get them
put
to get
them
off
on
or
top, like-
change it, or they have it.
But okay, we're talking about hooking up?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Let it come out.
Hold every class.
Right into that one, Randy.
honey, I didn't mean that. There is a restriction. In other words, if there's central sewer available and you're on a septic system, it says you have to hook up unless it exceeds some amount, and it almost always does. So I've not done a deal ever where we forced somebody to hook up to the central system, because the hookup to the central system always exceeds that threshold, and I think it's like 2% or I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, but it always exceeds that, so we never make people hook up.
So what do people normally put in that line? Exceed how much? $1,000, $2,000? What do you put on there?
I've seen 100. I've seen 1,000.
How
I've
far
seen
they gotta
zero.
go. Yeah.
Again, I don't like that NA stuff, but I see it all the
I mean,
time.
you want to put something in there because then if it
were to come up.
If it were to come up,
then you have the option.
You have the option to get out of the contract.
When you put it in, so that if you're already on.
If you are 150% sure, that has been.
But that comes up in a major way, at least once a year.
Oh, yeah. Major lawsuits.
Big lawsuits,
Yeah.
because an inspector missed it, and.
Well, the inspector didn't know it was on septic. The FMLS sheet said it's on sewer. Seller didn't fill out the property disclosure correctly, or didn't. How did they not know? Oh,
right.
I'm sure. I believe me, this is my worst nightmare.
I mean,
Just clause on
usually
every exhibit or just this one?
Just this one.
Yeah.
So just the VA line?
Just on this, but I will caution you when you are looking at an FMLS sheet that says sewer.
It's not
Double
true.
check it during due diligence.
Yeah.
because it's been listed wrong before, and the buyers closed on the property, and then found out it was on septic.
So how do you go about?
And they usually find out that it's
You
on
call-
septic because it's been
You can
terrible
ask
or
for a
something.
utility bill from
Cost
the
$1,000
seller,
or something.
which
But
would show
they
they're
would have-
paying water and sewage.
Well, but if you're paying water, you're also paying sewer irrespective of whether you have it or not.
No.
No,
not-
the city knows.
No, you can actually get a
Yeah.
proof that you're on septic,
Really?
and you get a reduced,
In the cabinet.
and it actually, it ends up being
That's
cheaper.
been my
Yeah,
worst
it
night.
should be 50%, right?
It's kind of.
No, the
linear.
sewer's more
Sewer's
expensive than the
is
water.
Greater than 50.
It is.
And sewer's usually 150%, isn't it?
Right, so it is cheaper, but then you have that ongoing maintenance.
So Tyler Perry's house is for sale for $26 million, no septic tank.
I'm on a septic tank. I don't have a $26 million house, but I'm on a septic tank. And, you know, and we've had buyers who have said, well, if I had known it was on a septic tank, I never would have bought it. So the property disclosure said sewer. The FMLS printout said sewer. And that's where all,
Cheaper just to get the Honeywell to come out, man.
Yeah.
and, because home inspectors, that's not what they're looking for. So you can't go back and blame them. We tried, but we can't.
So what do we find?
Yeah,
Does
I
it
don't
take
know.
people to go look at the property to see if it's on septic tank or?
Let's ask for a utility bill.
I
Your
think,
water
yeah,
bill will
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a utility bill.
A lot of times it's on a survey, sometimes it'll actually show you the.
But that's if you get the
But if you
survey,
get a
that's
survey, a
right.
lot of people don't get surveys.
Just try to
No,
do.
just the utility,
Find
and
out.
if you
Don't get
want to
Renee
know,
started.
you call the company and they tell
Again,
you.
that's a whole other file.
Okay, let's move.
Okay.
What do we want to?
Yes. Okay,
Can I interject?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
a couple of
One
things.
last word, yeah.
Maybe not one,
Couple
but
last words.
couple last words. From a lender's perspective, not necessarily the legal perspective, amendments, when you say amendment to address concerns, lenders, we don't like things that are structural or safety to remain unremedied, okay? Because the property is our collateral. And if there is, and I'll just use the example of a leaky roof. If there is a leaky roof that doesn't get repaired, think of what that's doing to our collateral. It's diminishing the value. So we're going to require those things be taken care of prior to closing. Unless, of course, you're doing one of the renovation loans or something like that. But in a normal basis, we're going to require that to be remedied. Time and time again, what I'll see is an amendment to address concerns where it says, first of all, it's referencing the home inspection, which we really don't like, okay? Second of all, it says seller to, repair leaky roof over bedroom. Seller to do this, seller to do that, seller to do that. And the seller goes through and strikes through some of those things, and everybody initials it, and then sends it to us.
Yeah.
Seller to repair leaky roof over bedroom, and it's
No.
stricken through and initialed. Guys, we don't want to see that. We don't like that. Okay?
Rouge is
not
always a red flag with.
Not only do we not like to see that, I mean, think about it. That's really, it's not doing a good service for either your buyer or your seller in that case.
And this is regardless of the type of loan, regardless of the loan value, any of it,
So-
anything that really speaks to.
I just wanted to, put that out there because we see your amendments. If you have something like that where it's things that you think might be questionable and they've been stricken through and stuff like that, do a clean copy with what the seller is going to repair.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, because as long as, if it says the seller's going to repair a leaky roof over the home, if it says that and they agree to it, yeah, fine. We don't care. We'll see that. Because it's going to be repaired. Now, we're going to ask for proof. We're going to ask for a receipt or for the appraiser to go check it or something like that. But a lot of people think, oh, gosh, I can't give that to the lender. You can give that to the lender as long as it's
Being taken care
as
of.
long as it's being taken care of. It's that strike-through of those nasty things that we don't want to see.
And you don't want to see in lieu of repairs.
In lieu of repairing the leaky roof over the bedroom, we're going to give you $500. I don't want to see that.
And I'll say, we we see this problem come up more towards, when you're getting right up to closing, I think, even more so than the inspection, because they will, they will find a last minute, there'll be a huge rainstorm, they'll go check the house out, they'll notice that there's water damage, and it's a leaky roof, this is a week before closing, or a few days before closing.
Should we turn off the camera real quick?
Yeah.
Just gonna say, if y'all do an amendment at that time, and put
We've seen it done.
referencing roofs, what will happen is if there's money changing hands, if it goes to the lender's gonna red flag it, it's going to be, the closing is gonna be held up, they're gonna want it fixed, they're gonna usually want an appraiser to go back out and make sure that it was fixed. So, if you are in that situation.
I've seen it done. Where somebody would say, seller agrees to increase seller paid closing costs by $1,000.
But don't do it on the amendment to address concerns. Do it on the amendment to agreement, the F-701. I'm learning my new numbers.
Right.
Oh my God, already.
Right.
But, and that kind of goes, just generally speaking, we have a lot fewer options the closer to closing we are to address any of these items. So, we've gotten a lot of requests to hold money in escrow recently. A lot of times that's not something that we can just decide on our own. It is generally not up to us. It has to be on the settlement statement. Lender has to approve it. There's one loan officer, mortgage broker, that is famous for telling his clients that we will hold money in escrow, and then, his underwriter never approves it.
Well,
it is not these guys, but the lender has to approve it. It's not just up to us. A lot of times, sometimes the lender is actually holding the money back. There's so many things that go into it, so just don't assume that it can be taken care of by the attorney will hold money in escrow for it, will get repaired after the fact.
That, and I already talked this morning about personal property. We don't finance big screen TVs and couches and riding lawnmowers and stuff like that. Deal with that.
There is a bill of sale to use. It is not an exhibit to the purchase and sale.
Right.
And it doesn't exchange, doesn't obligate anybody, doesn't mean the buyer's not gonna get anything if it doesn't close. So the seller's got no risk. I agree. Fine.
Unless anybody else has anything for me, I have a closing over at Gannick's to go to. But I will tell you guys just on the side, Gannick, there's a reason why they're our affiliated business partner in here. They are so good at what they do. If you guys have a choice,
about Debbie and my staff.
if you guys have a choice, they really are top notch, and sometimes it's difficult for a lender and the attorney to work together. There are attorneys out there who shall remain nameless. Ask me later, I'll tell you who, that we really don't want to work with, but gosh, working with them is just so easy, and I know what you guys see is generally just what's sitting at the closing table. Well, they do a fabulous job at that too, but 95% of the work is done long before you ever get to the closing table. And that's what we see as a lender. We see all the stuff on the backside that you don't normally see. And I can tell you that their back office runs as smooth as any I know of.
I agree.
All right?
So, second that.
All right.
There was a clause, DeKalb County, I think back in '07, passed because of the water shortage that we were having, a law requiring the upgrading
the low flow.
But I know that Sandy Springs, for example, said, no, it doesn't require. I don't know how many other areas of DeKalb County require.
I think that was the only one. I think that passed it. I always forget, is it incorporated or unincorporated?
It's the unincorporated, if you're not in a city like Tucker,
And the
Dunwoody.
house was built before 1993, I think it is.
Yeah. No, to my knowledge, there is no one else on that.
Nobody worries about it.
And you know what, it hasn't, I can't even remember the last time it came up. It's been a while since it was even an issue.
Okay.
So what do you guys, there's a bunch of these listings that come up that say closing attorney to be whatever. And I'm like, should we push back on that? Like, I mean, what
I mean, if it's your listing, you know, I like
if
to
it's
say
somebody
that.
else's
But,
listing.
I mean, I have some agents that close like 90% of their transactions.
Donna
I mean,
does
Donna McClure that closes almost everything with us, whether it's
She's a big listing
or
agent.
she's a big listing agent. You know, my thing is whoever is in control of the transaction is determining all of these things. You know, it's a point of negotiation. So, you know, I think because, which, I mean, it's more than always good, but, you know, a lot of the attorneys have joint ventures now with some of the brokerages in town, which means that the broker makes money if you close with their closing attorney. So that is why their brokers are pushing them to get transactions to that attorney, because the person is making money off of it. KW doesn't run that way, which is why we have different arrangements with them. Like, they don't make money directly off every transaction that we close. So my answer to that is, you know, you don't have to. I mean,
if it's a builder.
Builders all the time
Yeah.
will make you close with their attorney. I mean, and that's just how it works. It is honestly, it's generally an easier transaction if you don't try to pull it from them. It's probably not going to be a great transaction. It's what I call captured business. When there's captured business, they don't care about the agents and buyers involved, so it's not going to be great, but it will be easier than trying to pull it to another firm.
Right, but
REO,
foreclosures, relocation properties, a lot of times they will require it to be a certain attorney, and that's because they've acquired the house with relocation from the transferee, they've done all the title work, the attorney's got, you know, all that.
But if it's just your regular, regular listing, I mean, no, there's no they cannot require the buyer to close somewhere else.
Okay.
And it's really not in the buyer's best interest. I mean, you know, you want somebody that you're communicating with, that the lender's going to communicate with, and I mean, everything Randy said, I'll say the exact same thing about his operation, and not just him and Matt, but like their back office. I mean, all of my staff knows all of their staff, and they all work really well together, and we're always a priority with them. But you lose that if you let the seller pull the transactions to their attorney. And I mean, and with title issues, I mean, we're issuing title insurance. I mean, we represent the lender, so you know, we're not, you know, representing the seller. We're not representing the listing agent. You know, I would feel more comfortable closing with somebody that doesn't have a connection with the seller. But no, you don't have to. I mean, you just put whatever you want in the contract, and it's a point of negotiation just like everything else. We kind of run out of time.
I know,
We do this all the time.
We need to do another one on like 3 or 4
On everything
forms. It's really about all we can cover in an hour plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
If y'all want, we will do that.
No.
We want them going.
Oh, yeah.
We can do like a 1 of 3.
102 and a half.
102.5.
There is an all-cash exhibit that, real quick, we just want to make you aware there is one. For the newer ones especially, I am going to strongly
This is a big
suggest.
change.
Yeah, go ahead and go.
Well, go ahead. You can go.
No, go ahead.
So, a lot of times in the most recent market, multiple offer situation, people were putting offers in as cash and then going to get financing. So to address this, they put this in the cash exhibit where buyers stating they have sufficient assets for, and a lot of times they do, but then they decide like, well, I don't want to use, I don't want to pull all this money out, I'm going to go get a loan instead. Now it says, it gives the option that the buyer reserves the right to pay a portion by getting a mortgage secured or a non-institutional first mortgage loan, or buyer shall not have the right to obtain mortgage financing to pay for all or part of the purchase price of the property. This comes in because of the unilateral extension. Yes, before, even if the buyer put in an all-cash offer, they had the right to extend the closing date by a unilateral extension of the closing date by 8 days if their loan was not ready. This takes this out of there. So there's no unilateral extension on the buyer's side. And they do not have, it says they don't have the right to go get a loan. Now,
They can always do
They
that.
can get a loan, as long as it's not gonna cost the seller any money for them to get a loan, there's no reason a seller shouldn't say, okay, fine.
Yeah,
I
if this is,
mean,
if this
the seller
is
can't go to
checked
closing and say, it's not all cash.
I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna sell this to you.
Really?
Really? But I do see that will happen at some point
I'm sure it
where
will.
they're gonna try to do that. I can't, did you really?
Seller ends up closing. I mean, they end up closing.
But just keep that in mind, because we see this all the time, where we get these cash contracts in, and then like 5 days later, we get a title request from a
Right.
lender. So just know now that they don't have, they better have the money, just in case. If you're putting an all-cash offer, I mean, you really need to talk to them, they better have the money.
Right.
Well,
No,
there's
big time.
verification
Yeah.
of funds there.
They have to put it
Paragraph
within 70
2.
days. But, I mean, what we do see all the time, they decide to go get this loan, they decide they don't want the money, and then, you know,
They don't want to take the money out of their investment account.
investment account, or, you know, they thought they were gonna sell some assets, they don't want to anymore
Right.
all of a sudden. But then they want to
Yeah.
get a loan, and
Yeah.
then they want to extend the closing date. So just, you know, you have to be really clear with your buyers. Like, you want to get that loan, that's fine, but we still have to close on this, we're gonna be obligated to close on this date no matter what. We have now seen a lot of people that are just getting the loans after the fact. You know, just pulling some money off of an equity line, or, you know, just,
Yeah.
there's all, we're getting into the market of creative financing,
Yeah.
I think. Again, we're seeing a lot more creativity with, buyers and sellers. But just the big point to take away from this is that you don't get to extend the closing date.
And there is a seller's right to terminate, so if you're representing the buyer, be sure that you're meeting those deadlines. If verification of funds is 3 days from binding, you better get it to them. Otherwise, you're giving the seller a possible out. And that you never want to do that if you're the buyer. There is an appraisal contingency. It either shall or shall not be contingent. Most cash deals don't do appraisals, but they have the option. And then it will follow, and the buyer, if it's cash, the buyer normally selects the appraiser. And then you have paragraph C, which is the same that's in paragraph 11 in the conventional loan exhibit about we'll send you a copy of the appraisal, the amendment to reduce price, all that stuff. Okay? One last
Did you say
thing.
it'll be 7 days, for them to get an appraisal, or no?
With a cash deal, it should be,
Okay.
but I don't know, I'm not
Trying to get you.
Call,
It depends.
well,
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, you
I
could
think-
call like a Murphy and Associates to go do it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know some appraisers that are great. I should probably ask the
Yeah,
lawyer how long it
good
takes, how long it takes if they're calling in. But I think 7 days, I think they generally tell you 7 days to get that appraisal
That's what
back.
Randy just said, 7 days.
Randy said 7, so I would
You would
assume that that's.
Yeah,
fairly
he should be able
standard.
to find, if you have a cash buyer, he should be able to find you an appraiser.
But make sure the first 2 days of that is in a weekend.
Watch your dates, that's a good point. Always look at your dates. If there's big holidays coming up, and, you know, you need to be adding more time to your contingencies. All right, one last thing, for the newer ones especially. I want all of you to have access to the table of contents that shows every form that's available, so that you don't call me at Saturday night at 10 o'clock and say, what do you?
Well, still, they can be
And
confused.
look through this.
Look through it. You'd be amazed at what's in here that you
Yeah.
don't have to recreate.
I mean, and
Oh, my God.
and look,
At night.
I have done it where, I mean, even Cynthia Pierce and I, we're sitting there and trying to, like, come up with some sort of, you know, tip or something to fix the situation, and we call it Lynn, and she's like, well, just use this form. Like, don't do it yourself. I'm like, oh.
They'll tell you.
There's
Yeah,
a
there's-
form.
There's
They'll
a
tell you
lot
the
of,
number.
yeah, I mean, she'll tell you the number.
Use
There is a form that covers almost any situation, so before you start trying to craft a crazy amendment or a crazy special step, look through the forms and the GAR special steps, because they are very complicated.
And they're in categories.
Yep.
There's all your brokerage engagements, meaning your
Yeah.
listing agreements, your buyer brokers, your authorization to show and list the property, they're all
Yeah.
in a category now.
Yeah. So,
All your financing forms, your disclosures, purchase and
Yeah.
sale agreements.
FMLS.
Yeah,
Contingency.
in two places,
They
the
show
one
you in the FMLS.
folder that's called logoed GAR forms,
Okay.
and then at the very bottom, that just says GAR interactive forms or whatever.
All right, thanks.
I have a question about the legal exhibit, description exhibit. I've always just printed out the deed and written exhibit A or B or whatever on their
Yeah.
deed. Is it better to use that? There's more chance for an error
No.
if you have to type
No.
that. It doesn't matter?
I prefer printing it out and attaching
Yeah,
it.
because I hate the typing it in, there's a chance of
Yeah,
an
no,
error.
We don't like that.
Yeah.
now that one, you can ignore in there, don't use that one.
Yeah.
Just use,
Yeah.
just attach the deed.
Okay. But learn your forms.
Mm-hmm.
So we will schedule another one.
Another one.
Where it won't be financing. We'll move
We'll
on to
move
another
on
topic.
to something
The
else.
seller's disclosure
Or
would be
you
good
guys
enough.
let
Yeah.
Stacy know what,
Yeah, I think
What you'd like
disclosure,
us to cover.
right, like Marty, solar, community, lead day.
yeah.
Who in Renee's favor,
But
the
I
closing attorney acting as Ernest Holder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was on the list, oh well, next time, Renee.
Next time.
But,
Next
you
time.
know, we need to look at the contingencies, you know, the one for the sale or lease of the
Yeah.
buyer's property, you need to know that. Backup is there, you need to understand how the backup works. So a lot of this, I think, is in your package. When you have time, start looking at them.
Reading.
They are
Reading.
pretty self-explanatory. If you have questions, I'm here, okay.
Mhm.
Where's the
But-
print out a copy of this one?
It's in dot loop.
Yeah, you can pull that file and pull out.
Either
Or if you
logoed,
wanna make
GAR
copies
forms.
here.
Or you can go into FMLS.
And it's in FMLS, RDoc, yeah.
And it's on whatever the contract loan form on, is it GAR or whatever it's called, the Georgia website?
Our website.
Oh,
Georgia
GAR,
GAR,
yeah.
yeah.
Real
Oh,
dot,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know that.
And there's, you wanna, if you're just doing residential, be sure you pull the one that has all the F forms. There's another one in there that's an index, and it's gonna have the C forms, and the CV forms, and the CO forms. You just want this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that, when you do
Has
the
everything.
GAR forms index, then you're gonna get
Yeah.
very confused.
Right.
Full
We need to.
table of contents is the one you want.
Gotcha.
All right, well, thank y'all so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.